damage with like a Dazzling Gleam. Tapu Bulu does get taken by Intimidate, but not much else it can do.
It looks like both players are already ready to go underway right now.
All right, well, we are going into our first game of our best of 3 set for this top 4 match. Winner of this game, of this set, will advance to the finals, and the loser will unfortunately have their tournament cut short and go home just a little bit earlier than I think they want to. Looks like Enosh will lead with the Porygon 2 and the Kartana up against Mitchell's Golduck and Pelipper. So we are going to see the heavy rain mode, not quite double duck, but you know, Pelipper can be an honorary duck.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, we all know that Golduck is the true duck out on the field. I'm a big fan of Golduck, not in the role that I'm used to it being. Usually it's countering weather, but in this case it's actually abusing the weather. It does have access to Hydro Vortex. We've seen Golduck go for a Hydro Vortex before. I wonder how much damage that's going to do to that Kartana. A lot of Kartanas do carry the Assault Vest. It is resisted, but it is also in the rain, but we do see Golduck protect instead.
Okay, so Golduck wants to protect itself, does not want to take any damage from Enosh's Pokemon. The Leaf Blade actually connects with the Pelipper, so Enosh not falling for the Golduck. A critical hit will bring that Pelipper down to its Focus Sash. So Enosh already targeting down that Pelipper. The Hurricane coming out will deal some good damage to Kartana, but thanks to that Assault Vest will be able to hang on while Porygon 2 is able to get up this Trick Room.
A really unfortunate protect right there from Mitchell's side, because that Golduck now kind of just wasted its turn protecting itself, and now it sets
What's it going to do in Trick Room?
Right, now it sets up Enosh to be able to pick up 2 easy KOs right here. Kartana can easily underspeed that Golduck, hit it with the Leaf Blade, get a Beast Boost after that as well, and Porygon 2 can easily dispatch that Pelipper from that, I mean, it's from Focus Sash range.
Yeah, I mean, you have to expect that Golduck is not going to come in here. There is not going to stay in here. I mean, Mitchell really needs to get out of this Trick Room and have that Golduck for a sweeper.
Yeah, you have to start maneuvering your Pokemon in and out, try to get better board position if you're Mitchell, as we do see Pelipper with retreat.
Yeah, so Pelipper is going to retreat in favor of the Porygon 2. So Porygon 2 out on the field with the special attack boost. Golduck going for another Protect, but it fails its double Protect. So an Ice Beam coming out from Porygon 2 will hit the opponent's Porygon 2. Do a little bit of damage while Kartana's Smart Strike on to the Golduck will connect, expecting a switch there. Not very effective damage, but since Golduck went for that Protect and didn't get it, just, you know, stalling out a turn of Trick Room.
I don't mind that if you're Mitchell. You know, Enosh right there really expecting a Tapu Bulu switch most likely, so trying to kind of make a gutsy prediction, go for a Smart Strike, maybe do some super effective damage to that Tapu Bulu, not necessarily wanting to take a risk and maybe hit a Leaf Blade into that Tapu Bulu, so trying to get a little bit ahead of himself. Unfortunately doesn't pay off for him. Mitchell kind of tried for that double protect, unfortunately didn't get it. Porygon 2 does come in a bit safely and now can actually threaten this Kartana to be able to pick up a KO.
Yeah, I mean, Kartana does feel like it's in a pretty good position against this Golduck and the Porygon 2 for the most part. I mean, all things considered, looks like we are going to cut out from the game for just a moment as we make sure that everything is quite all right down at the tables. But really interesting there, like I mentioned at the start, being able to get that Trick Room up was incredibly important for Enosh, just being able to cut into the Swift Swim and the hyper-offensive nature of those rain modes.
Yeah, and you know, Trick Room, if you run it rain mode, most likely a lot of players are going to try to counter you by setting up Trick Room, and you know, Enosh recognizes that. He realizes, I need to set up Trick Room, let's do this.
Yeah.
And he got it through. Mitchell needs to try to find a better way to, you know, stop that Trick Room from coming up, or a better way to be able to stall out those turns of Trick Room.
Yeah, I mean, it really looked like Mitchell just was not able to take care of that Trick Room. You know, he doesn't really have taunters. I mean, Tapu Koko or Tapu Bulu could use taunt, but they usually don't. No Pokemon that are capable of getting a one-hit KO on Porygon 2. Really the only option is to run that Trick Room Porygon 2 as well and try to make a prediction, try to make a read.
Either get that double prediction or somehow switch your Trick Room mode in at the same time that Porygon 2 sets up Trick Room, so that you can kind of abuse those turns of Trick Room as well.
Yeah. But, you know, the Trick Room mode on Mitchell's just isn't quite as powerful as the Trick Room mode for Enosh. I mean, Araquanid is a pretty powerful Pokemon. We haven't had a chance to see it on stream
yet.
In
the rain with that water bubble ability, Liquidation does so much damage.
It's just disgusting damage. Everything gets liquidated.
And you can't even burn it. You can't burn it, so even if you have a Will-O-Wisp option to try to burn it, reduce the amount of physical damage that Araquanid can do, you can't do it.
Yeah, Araquanid, I think, will be the Pokemon of the game here if Enosh is able to get that Trick Room up like he was those first couple of turns there. Mitchell's going to need to come up with some way to counter that.
Yeah, and even if, a lot of players, they do... Araquanid was one of those Pokemon that I'm really interested in seeing. I expected to see a lot more in the London International Championships. We saw a few, obviously the former world champion Arash Omadi was running it. He was running a special variant, which was kind of interesting to me. Never really expected that to happen. But then with the fact that Gastrodon came up, Gastrodon's a huge reason why Araquanid isn't as popular as I think it should be.
Yeah, well, it looks like we are going to be going back into games shortly. We will be restarting the game from the beginning at 0-0, as both players were basically at turn 2 of that game.
Very, very early in the game.
But, basically we're now at game 1.5. So the lessons that both Enosh and Mitchell took from Team Preview are going to be very important here, whether or not Mitchell will be reactive like he was that first time, or if Enosh will be put on the back foot this time around.
Game 1 version 2, right?
Yeah, game 1.5, game 1 V2.
Yep, exactly. And, it's unfortunate that happened. Enosh was in a very good position, but, Enosh is a very solid player, he knows how to maintain a Pokemon lead. He knows how to adapt. He knows how to adjust. So even if he does have to restart, I'm pretty sure that's not even going to tilt Enosh at all.
And I believe both of these players are also wearing the same clothing.
Are they the default?
No, I don't believe these are default. But, if you are in default, you should probably swap that out. But we are going to have Enosh and Mitchell going back into battle right now. Kartana and Porygon 2 will be the leads for Enosh alongside Golduck and Pelipper from Mitchell.
So the exact same leads. We'll see how this plays out now. Going to be interesting to see how it works. Pelipper does bring the rain, and Porygon 2 is going to go ahead and download a boost right here. I forgot what it was last time. We'll see
believe
if
it got
the same.
The special attack. Yeah.
Yep, there's a special attack boost. So exactly where we were starting game 1 here.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Run it back.
Got to somehow stop Trick Room. But at the same time, that was a great turn for Enosh in turn 1 of the previous game, in terms of the previous run of game 1.
Right.
Because he predicted that Golduck Protect right there, and we'll have to see if Mitchell decides to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, Golduck Protecting there allows it to avoid a Leaf Blade from Kartana, but otherwise, you probably really want to start dealing the damage with Golduck. If it's out on the field not dealing damage, then Golduck is a wasted slot.
Yeah, and if Trick Room comes up, you kind of want Golduck off the field anyways because it's your fast sweeper.
Right.
A fast sweeper in Trick Room's kind of really bad because it's not even bulky enough to stay around, as we do see Golduck go for the Scald here.
Yeah, Golduck goes for the Scald. Not very effective on Kartana. Does not get the burn there. Leaf Blade will connect with Golduck this time, so Enosh will pick up the KO onto Golduck. If Mitchell double targeted that, I believe a Hurricane from Pelipper should be enough to pick up the KO here on Kartana. But Enosh probably feels pretty okay swapping fast sweepers. Yeah, Kartana will go down from Hurricane. Porygon 2 most likely setting up the Trick Room here. Actually, no, going for the Ice Beam onto the Pelipper. So just trying to get some extra damage there. And Enosh really coming ahead in terms of damage dealt to Pokemon.
Yeah, and even though Trick Room didn't come up, Enosh's position is still pretty good. He did knock out the Golduck, which is one of Mitchell's most offensive Pokemon.
Yeah.
We do know that it holds the water Z crystal, so it can't use it anymore, and I'm not sure if Mitchell has another Z move in his pocket, but if you can't use Z move, that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, well, Tapu Fini is out on the field because Tapu Fini's terrain went first. Looks like that Tapu Fini is faster than the Tapu Bulu out on the field for Mitchell. But Tapu Bulu probably doesn't really care that much about anything Tapu Fini has to do, whereas Tapu Fini probably wants to start protecting itself, get out of the same field as that Tapu Bulu.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it also does open up opportunities for Porygon 2 to get hit with both a Wood Hammer and a Hurricane. That's going to do a lot of damage. It's going to be close as to whether or not it's going to pick up the KO, but Tapu Bulu hits like a truck, as we do see Pelipper Protect instead.
Pelipper doesn't want anything to do with this. Substitute coming out from Tapu Fini, so if that Tapu Fini was allowed to just set up that substitute, could be a very big deal for Enosh. The Wood Hammer is going to connect with Porygon 2, deals a lot of damage, but not enough for the KO. That Porygon 2 is just so bulky, and Enosh's Ice Beam does connect to Tapu Bulu, dealing so much damage right back to it, with Tapu Fini just sitting pretty behind that substitute.
Yeah, and during this turn right now, Tapu Fini can easily pick up the KO on this Tapu Bulu.
Oh, and Tapu Fini loves this grassy terrain.
Oh yeah, behind the substitute, going to be healing back a lot of health, especially with the leftovers as well. You really want to focus down on that Tapu Fini, but at the same time, Tapu Bulu is heavily threatened right now to get knocked out, so Mitchell has to do some more protecting, more switching right here. Again, a great read right there from Enosh to be able to set up a substitute, and instead of targeting down that Pelipper, which Mitchell thought was going to be the target, Enosh saw right through it. I'm going to do damage to your Tapu Bulu.
All right, well, Pelipper is retreating for Mitchell, sends out his own Porygon 2. So Porygon 2 on the field for both Pokemon. Mitchell will be picking up an attack boost, so negligible boost there. Tapu Bulu trying to protect itself for a turn here. Looks like Mitchell wants to get his own Trick Room up here. Tapu Fini, though, with the Moonblast into the Protect, and Porygon 2 with the Ice Beam into that Porygon 2 switch-in. So Enosh will be able to deal a little bit of extra chip damage here while letting that Porygon 2 switch in.
And it's unfortunate that Mitchell's Porygon did get the special attack, or sorry, it did not get the special attack.
Just got attack.
Just got attack, and man, it's still a tough spot because this Tapu Bulu might have to switch out because you kind of want Tapu Bulu to be able to sweep the rest of Enosh's team along with Porygon 2 to just be able to stall it out. So it's going to be tough. Yeah,
Tapu Bulu just trying to heal up a little bit with that terrain, but I don't know if it will have enough health to survive some of these attacks from Tapu Fini. I mean, Tapu Fini even could go for some water-type attacks with the Rain Boost.
It possibly could. Scald is an option.
Ooh, double protect.
Not sure what... Ooh, yeah, double protect right there from Tapu Bulu. Big.
Yeah, Tapu Bulu will be able to protect itself one more turn as Enosh goes for that Moonblast. Toxic coming out from Enosh's own Porygon 2. No Misty Terrain out on the field. So Mitchell will be Toxic on his Porygon, and Tri-Attack coming out from Mitchell's Porygon 2, trying to break that substitute on Tapu Fini. That should be enough to take down the substitute. It's not, actually. Tapu Fini is so bulky.
Such a bulky Pokemon. Again, unfortunate that Mitchell didn't get that special attack boost that would have most likely had the ability to break that sub. And now that counter's been put on Mitchell's Porygon 2 with that Toxic Poison. Oh boy, not exactly sure why Mitchell didn't decide to try to set up Trick Room there. Maybe was kind of expecting a play from Enosh to also go for a double Trick Room, maybe. So it really needed a Trick Room up there because you need to break that Tapu Fini substitute and be able to smack it with a Wood Hammer because Tapu Bulu right now is, again, still threatened, I believe, to be knocked out by a Moonblast.
When you have been behind throughout the entire first game.
Yeah, you want to process your notes very well. You want to process exactly what happened during this game to try to go back to the drawing board and make adjustments, Obviously, turn 1, he lost Golduck, Mitchell lost Golduck, was able to trade the Golduck for the Kartana, but at the same time, Kartana was going to go down anyways, right, at some point. And then the Porygon 2 was able to get a lot of damage on that Pelipper. So the damage trade on turn 1 was heavily in Enosh's favor.
Yeah, so very, very strong game there from Enosh, being able to take that first game in pretty decisive fashion there. But Mitchell, as we've seen from some of his past games, he's lost his first round a couple of times now. You can't count him out after the first game.
Yeah, and Mitchell going to the drawing board, he needs to figure out a way to deal with this Kartana first. I don't really see a reason why Enosh does not bring Kartana again. It's one of the fastest Pokemon in the format in terms of speed, and the only thing on Mitchell's side that really outspeeds it is going to be the Golduck and the Tapu Koko. But at the same time, we didn't see Tapu Koko at all.
Right.
Golduck, I mean, it can't pick up the one-hit KO because Kartana is going to resist whatever it can throw at it and the Assault Vest. Maybe the Hydro Vortex might get close, but I still don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, well, definitely something's going to have to change if Mitchell's going to be able to take back the Game 2 and force a Game 3. Again, this is the top 4, so if Enosh Shahar wins this match, he will be advancing to the finals of the regional championships. Mitchell needs 2 more wins to do so himself. So everything's on the line. This is potentially Mitchell's last game to play here at San Jose.
Also, interesting thing to note is that Enosh did not have to reveal his 4th Pokemon. So that's tough for Mitchell to go into Team Preview and make adjustments.
Right.
You have to wonder, what was that last Pokemon? What should I do? Do I need to do something? Like, if I make an adjustment, what happens if my adjustment messes me up for that matchup with that 4th Pokemon?
Right. And also really interesting, Enosh selected his Pokemon very quickly in the Team Preview.
He's got to figure it out.
See him standing by. He knows what he wants, and what he wants is Kartana and Porygon 2. Mitchell will make some adjustments here, going for the Pelipper and the Muck instead.
Yeah, so in this case, this Muck can easily go for a knockoff onto that Porygon 2. Could even possibly go for a knockoff onto that Kartana to try to pick up the KO in one go, as we do see a special attack increase for Porygon 2.
Enosh getting all those special attack boosts.
Yeah, but the thing is, this Muck can't be one-hit KO'd, just like that Golduck was in Game 1. So,
Right.
this Muck has a little bit more staying power, but again, unfortunate that Porygon 2 got that special attack boost because, it's not going to pick up any one-hit KOs, but there's that increased damage output does build up. It adds up very much.
Yeah, especially for a Pokemon like Muck that just wants to sit around tanking hits over and over again. That boost will just start adding a little bit of damage.
Yeah, and, you can go for a Hurricane on this Kartana. We know that won't pick up the KO. Maybe even be able to go for a knockoff, but again, that won't be able to pick up the KO. So you're going to have to do another trade if you really want to be able to pick up the KO on the Kartana.
Well, it looks like Muck does not want to trade. Going to go ahead and protect itself turn 1. Kartana's Leaf Blade will connect with Pelipper again this time. Looks like it's not going to be enough to drop it down to its Focus Sash like we saw previously. But Scald coming out from Pelipper onto Kartana. Is it going to get the burn? It does not get the burn. Pelipper really hoping to be able to take out some of the Kartana's damage there with a burn from the Scald, but instead just gets Ice Beamed down and back to his trainer.
What a turn for Enosh.
Yeah.
He got off, Mitchell got off one Scald, no burn, and unfortunate because he lost Pelipper, his Rain Setter, as we do see Golduck come in. Golduck now can possibly pick up the KO on Kartana. This might set up some plays for the future. Pelipper is kind of a weak link in this matchup, in my opinion. It can Hurricane, but it's not going to pick up many one-hit KOs.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of like what we saw last game, where Golduck and Pelipper both doubled into the Kartana, but instead staggered out over 2 turns here.
Yeah.
So it looks like Mitchell's trying to put the pressure onto Kartana here, but and using that Muck to prevent Enosh from just being able to Trick Room and take over the game, but still a really tough position for Mitchell to be in.
Yeah, I mean, you can knock off the Porygon 2, start being able to do a lot of damage, as we do see Kartana switch, though.
Ooh, it is the Araquanid, so Araquanid will come out for Enosh. Finally, we see the Araquanid on stream. Golduck will go ahead and protect this turn, so Mitchell not going to deal any damage to this Araquanid. Muck using Knockoff will connect with the Porygon 2, so will knock off that Eviolite, making Porygon 2 a potential target for a knockout, but Trick Room with Araquanid in the rain.
Yeah, and now this Araquanid is pretty much set up to be able to pick up a lot of KOs. Liquidation's going to be doing a lot of damage to Muck in the rain with that Water Bubble boost. Man, it's so powerful
so much
right
damage
now.
is about to come out here.
Yeah, and, again, the Trick Room coming up in the rain really messes up with this Golduck. This is a really hyper-offensive team from Mitchell's side. You do have Muck that does protect, but it's still... Araquanid, goes for liquidation there.
So Muck did protect itself from a liquidation. Definitely would have been washed away by that. But Porygon 2, with its Ice Beam onto Golduck, trying to get a little bit of chip damage onto it. The Z move coming out from Mitchell, the Hydro Vortex. Looks like both players actually doing the dance, which if you didn't know, that makes it 1.5 times more powerful if you do the Z dance alongside it. But Golduck will go swimming, get the Hydro Vortex, and bring the Porygon 2 down the Whirlpool. Rubber Ducky, no, the drain, stay out of the drain. Porygon 2 will faint to the Hydro Vortex. And go down. Well, Golduck showing why it can deal damage. And, we thought Araquanid was about to liquidate some Pokemon, but Golduck just dealing the damage.
Unfortunately, a couple turns too late because the Trick Room's already come out. But, that is a bonus that Mitchell was able to use the Hydro Vortex at least once this match to be able to pick up the KO on that Porygon 2. So Trick Room's out of the picture for the rest of the game as long as Mitchell can outstall it. We do see Kartana come back in. It is going to be underspeeding that Golduck, and it is going to be hitting it first in Trick Room. I'm not exactly sure how much damage this liquidation in the rain from Araquanid is going to do to the Muck, but I know for sure that this Golduck is threatened right now to get knocked out because of this Kartana. If somehow, Enosh maybe tries to get ahead of himself and predict too much into the future, maybe Golduck might be able to, kind of squeak by and get a Hydro Pump off in the rain and knock out the Kartana just like in the previous game, but that's going to be a risky move, and, I think Enosh has what he needs the way it is, just easy moves right now.
Yeah, well, Mitchell is going to retreat the Golduck for Tapu Bulu, a much stronger matchup against that Kartana, at least so long as the Tapu Bulu goes first. Muck gets the double protect, though, so Mitchell is going to be able to get that double protect and keep Muck safe from this liquidation again. I feel so bad. We finally get the spider on stream, and it just keeps liquidating into protect. Tapu Bulu will take a little bit of damage from that Leaf Blade and start healing that up with the grassy terrain.
So that's exactly what it needed. That's what Mitchell needed to kind of swing himself back in favor of this game. Tapu Bulu comes in. It's a fairly slow Pokemon. Will underspeed this Kartana. Of course, you don't really want to be hitting that Kartana with anything that Tapu Bulu can throw at it. It's going to quadruple resist any grass type attack that it has. So Tapu Bulu can do some damage to the Araquanid, but Araquanid still underspeeds this Tapu Bulu in Trick Room. So this Araquanid, it can still go for one attack before it gets hit by Tapu Bulu or Muck.
Or Mitchell could just keep protecting and stalling out that Trick Room.
But the chances are so low of that. It'd be huge if that happens, but you have to do something about this Muck. Or no, not this Muck. You have to do something about this Araquanid. And then, of course, you have Kartana staring down you at the other side. You can't let it go because it can easily just knock out the Tapu Bulu, but we see Kartana switch.
Yeah, it will be Tapu Fini out for Enosh instead of that Kartana. Going to go ahead and get the double water type, set the Misty Surge so that Muck cannot toxic the Tapu Fini or the Araquanid. Tapu Bulu goes for a protect this turn. Tapu Bulu protects itself. Araquanid goes for the stockpile. So Enosh finally getting a chance to deal damage to that Muck, does not take it. Instead, just stockpiles, increases its attack and special defense as Muck goes for the knockoff onto Tapu Fini, which will knock off those leftovers.
Yeah, so now Tapu Fini isn't going to have as much staying power, but a great turn from Enosh to recognize, you know what, I think I can set up some defenses here. We don't see stockpile much on Araquanid. Usually you go for 3 powerful attacking moves. Liquidation's definitely one of them, but
doesn't want to get squished by Tapu Bulu's hammer.
Yeah, also a great switch in from Enosh to get that Tapu Fini in to change the terrain, make sure that if Tapu Bulu does get an attack off on that Araquanid with the Wood Hammer, it's not going to be doing as much damage because grassy terrain is such a great terrain to be able to boost your attack.
Absolutely. It will be the lunge coming out from the Araquanid onto Tapu Bulu, dealing a little bit of damage and dropping Tapu Bulu's attack. So Muck with the knockoff again onto Araquanid will
And of course, Tapu Bulu does have reduced attack, which is a great effect of lunge. It's plus defenses. Tapu Bulu has reduced attack. This Tapu Bulu can try to swing its Wood Hammer at the Arachnid, but it's not going to be able to pick up the KO at all.
Moonblast from the Tapu Fini onto Tapu Bulu. Is it going to be enough? It is enough to pick it up. I think that was just about the same as last game. So Tapu Bulu will go down. Muck finally gets off the Poison Jab onto Tapu Fini, going to deal a lot of damage back to it. But Araquanid finally able to get the liquidation off, no longer under the rain, unfortunately, but still going to deal a lot of damage to that Muck, just enough to activate its Figgy Berry and bring it back to basically full.
Thanks to that Gluttony ability, which is actually a very good ability on Muck with the Figgy Berry combination, Once you drop down to 50%, hey, I'll heal back exactly what I took.
Yep. Golduck out on the field for Mitchell. Why Figgy? Why aren't we using some of the other berries?
It all depends on the flavor that your Pokemon enjoys. You don't want to confuse your Pokemon.
Yeah, that's it's not as bad this generation as it was in past generations, so maybe.
And we do see the Ice Beam connect onto that Araquanid.
Oh my god, it dealt no damage.
Stockpile, such a good move.
Stockpile Araquanid with its already monstrous special defense, not taking any damage there. Muck will be able to get this Poison Jab off onto Tapu Fini and knock it out after taking a little bit of Moonblast damage. But Enosh now will be able to start using that liquidation to defeat this Muck. No more Figgy Berry, only had it that one time, dealing 50% damage again there.
Yeah, and Kartana comes back in, and that should do it.
Yeah, and Golduck's out of rain.
Yeah, exactly. Kartana can easily just go for a Leaf Blade onto that Golduck. A liquidation from Araquanid will be able to pick up the KO on Muck from here, and there's just nothing that you can do about it. Like, Muck can't even knock out this Araquanid, can't knock off for a lot of damage. You can Poison Jab it, but the stockpile, again, with the raised defense is just...
Yeah, I can't even hope for the poison with the Misty Terrain up.
Paying its dividends right now. Araquanid gonna be able to take the first game.
Finally.
Well, not the first game, but gonna be able to take the first game that we've seen on stream.
Its first stream game.
Yeah.
I've been over here waiting for it to finally come out, and Looks like Mitchell will protect Golduck this turn around, trying to, if Enosh made a mistake, may be able to use that Golduck to get a couple of extra KOs. Muck's knockoff onto Kartana will knock off the Assault Vest and deal some good damage, but the Liquidation picking up the KO for Muck, and Golduck just nothing it can do against these two Pokemon.
Yeah, and you already saw both players extend hands. Enosh recognizing exactly what his win condition was, set up this position where Arachnid can come out on the field, and Kartana at the same time to be able to kind of put pressure on both Golduck and Muck, right? All right, now I'm going to force you to have Muck knock out my Kartana from almost full health, but Kartana has very good physical defenses, so that was an issue at all.
Yep, and there was the forfeit. Mitchell Davies will lose to Enosh Shahar. Enosh will advance to the finals of the San Jose Regional Championships. Mitchell should be very happy with his top 4 placement, however. Played really well throughout the day, but Enosh was just able to take control of both of those games, and, I don't know if you noticed in the lower left-hand corner there, but he's undefeated in sets this weekend.
Yeah. Enosh has been playing exceptionally well. He's one of the, like I said, he's one of the most consistent players of all time. Whenever there's a format that he enjoys, he...
Drampa time. All right, well, players are into team select here, so we do see Arvin running that Porygon 2, Gigalith, Kartana, Arcanine, Tapu Koko, and Gudra up against Gavin with the Magnezone, Araquanid, Porygon 2, Hariyama, Drampa, and Mimikyu. So this should be a very interesting matchup because Gavin's team is very heavy on the Trick Room, whereas Arvin does have the options with that Tapu Koko and with the Kartana to really function outside of the Trick Room.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to whether or not Arvin feels like, all right, I don't want to function in Trick Room right now. I got to be able to reverse it with my own Porygon 2. Maybe Tapu Koko has Taunt. We're not exactly sure if it does or not, but it's going to come down to what Arvin wants to play in. Gavin's goal probably is going to be try to set up Trick Room because all of his Pokemon, the Magnezone, the Arachnid, the Hariyama, the Drampa, even the Mimikyu is actually the fastest Pokemon on Gavin's team, even though it is also a Trick Room setter, right? So you're going to have to try to figure out a way to stop Trick Room. The really common way here is just going to be able to predict, Gavin's going to go for a Trick Room this turn. I had to set up Trick Room. We're going to reverse each other's Trick Rooms.
Yeah, you have to give the advantage, I think, to Arvin right now if he's able to keep the Trick Room under control for Gavin. Does have the option of playing outside the Trick Room, so if he can stall out those first 5 turns, may be able to use that Kartana and Tapu Koko in the back to just sort of clean up after the Trick Room. We're going to have to see what is going to be the leads for both these players. Gavin with the classic Hariyama and Porygon 2 lead up against Arvin, who's opted just to go straight for the offensive mode right away with that Kartana and Tapu Koko.
Yeah, so 2 really fast Pokemon out on the side for Arvin, as we do see Porygon 2 get a special attack boost. That's going to be huge later on, but most likely it looks like Gavin's going to be able to set up Trick Room easily here. Hariyama has that fake out support, can easily fake out the Tapu Koko or the Kartana, whichever one Gavin deems a bigger threat.
Yeah, and then once that Trick Room is up, Kartana and Tapu Koko aren't going to be having a good time at all.
Yeah, one way that Arvin can get around this is to predict where that fake out's going to land from Hariyama and be able to switch out. And, yep, all right, he's just going to stay in.
Yeah, no switches coming out from Arvin, just the fake out onto Tapu Koko. Kartana with the Leaf Blade onto Hariyama deals a lot of damage with that critical hit. Not quite enough to pick up the KO, though. Porygon 2 will be able to get that Trick Room up, but a lot of damage onto Hariyama, which with that burn will mean that it only has a few turns left.
Yeah, but Hariyama can do a lot in a few turns,
That's
right?
That's true.
Of course, Tapu Koko does resist Hariyama. We saw how much damage that fake out did. This Tapu Koko is going to be very frail, not going to be able to take much damage from this Hariyama at all. Even a close combat will do a massive amount of damage. Of course, the close combat is also going to be super effective against this Kartana, so we'll have to see exactly where Gavin decides to move his attacks into.
Well, Kartana is going to protect itself this turn. Arvin does not want that Pokemon taking any damage. Tapu Koko also going for the protect, so looks like Arvin's play here is just to wait out this turn, see what Gavin wants to do, get that extra turn of burn damage onto Hariyama, and start stalling out that Trick Room.
Yeah, so, stalls out 1 turn of Trick Room, there's 3 turns of Trick Room left. Hariyama still has about 2 turns left before that burn's going to finally knock it out, so right now Arvin has burned both of his protects. He's going to have to figure out a way to switch perfectly in order to be able to, get around this. There's 3 more turns of Trick Room. You got to be able to stall it out. Kartana looks like it can be knocked out pretty easily from a close combat from that Hariyama, so we'll have to see how Arvin decides to take this turn. probably going to have to switch, or, you might lose two Pokemon here.
No switches coming in. It will be the close combat onto Kartana, which brings it down to a Focus Sash. So Kartana will be able to hold on for one more turn, taking that close combat like a champ. Hariyama dropping its defenses. Porygon 2 going for the Ice Beam onto the Kartana as well. So Gavin doubling up into that Pokemon will knock out the Kartana, while Tapu Koko going for the Dazzling Gleam will pick up the KO onto Hariyama and deal just a little bit of damage to Porygon 2.
So that's a pretty fair trade right there. You lose two heavy physical attackers on each side. Arvin loses the Kartana, Gavin loses the Hariyama, which was, exerting a lot of pressure. Looking back, Arvin's probably thinking to himself, man, I really wish I went on the offensive turn. During the turn in which, Porygon 2 kind of split its attack setup into the Tapu Koko. But, you still get something out of that at least.
Yeah. Definitely get something out of that. It will be the Magnezone for Gavin and Gigalith for Arvin. So Arvin did bring his Trick Room Pokemon here, and Gigalith is one of the slowest Pokemon in the game. Pretty much guaranteed to be the slowest Pokemon out on the field right now. Even
though Gigalith does get up the Sandstorm, you do have to respect the Drampa switch in, which we know is Cloud 9, which is going to take away that special defense boost that Gigalith gets. So, I'm not sure if Magnezone is going to, I'm not sure which Pokemon is going to go first, but we do see Porygon 2 switch out now, going into the Drampa, going to reduce that special defense right there.
All right, Porygon 2 switches for Drampa. As you mentioned, the Cloud 9, making sure that the Sand, while it's still on the field, will no longer be effective. It will be the Z move. I believe that's the Continental Crush coming out from Arvin's Gigalith. Ooh, getting ready to just dump a mountain on top of Gavin.
Hopefully can knock out this Drampa to get back that sand boost that it really wants. Going to do a lot of damage here. Is it enough?
It is the Drampa. It's going to connect with the Drampa, squished right down, flattened like a pancake, and it is enough to pick up the KO. Getting rid of Drampa with its bad hip will knock that Pokemon out. Flash Cannon coming out from the Magnezone, though. Of course, Drampa not on the field anymore. Will almost pick up the KO onto Gigalith, holding on with just 10 hit points left, while Tapu Koko has free reign to get a Thunderbolt off onto this Magnezone.
That right there was a huge knockout from that Continental Crush. Like I said, getting rid of that Cloud 9 gave Gigalith back its special defense boost, which allowed it to survive with 10 hit points, and now can threaten this Magnezone with a possible Earthquake if it does carry Earthquake. Gigalith is a very slow Pokemon. It should underspeed this Porygon 2 as well. So, good positioning right now from Arvin to try to close out. He does have one more Pokemon in the back. Gavin, unfortunately, cannot make any switches right now.
And he's running out of time for Trick Room as well.
Yeah, exactly. And, now he might actually have to try to outstall his own Trick Room right here if he wants to be able to, beat this Gigalith right here that threatens this Magnezone and also threatens to do a lot of damage to this Porygon 2.
Yep, definitely. Arvin putting off a lot of pressure with that Gigalith. And of course, that Sandstorm will be dealing a little bit of chip damage to that Porygon 2 and the Tapu Koko, which we did see was running that Life Orb, so we'll be dealing some damage to itself as well.
Yeah, and we do see Gigalith switch now. We'll have to see exactly what happens here. As we do see Porygon 2 come in.
Porygon 2 is the switch in for Arvin. Both the double ducks on the field here. Another special attack boost for Arvin. Gavin will be able to get off a Thunderbolt from his Porygon 2 onto the switched-in Porygon 2. Magnezone, also using Flash Cannon, will pick up a KO onto Tapu Koko. So Gavin dealing some serious damage back, and I'm not so sure about that switch-in. Arvin, of course, most likely trying to make sure that he will have that Trick Room up for another turn.
Yeah, maybe worried that Magnezone might protect that turn and allow Porygon 2 to come in and just pick up the KO. We do see the Electric Terrain fade, which means that, if Magnezone switches attacks, it won't be getting an Electric Boost. But I think this Magnezone is choice specs from the amount of damage that it did to Gigalith in terms of, even in the sand. So we'll have to see if Arvin is able to set up Trick Room here. Gigalith can protect right here. Porygon 2 doesn't seem like it's going to be taking a lot of damage, but maybe Gavin's going to realize that. Going to go for an attack from the Porygon 2 onto Arvin's Porygon 2, and a choice specs Flash Cannon from Magnezone onto that Porygon 2 should be able to do enough to pick up the KO, so it's going to be close.
Hopefully for Gavin's sake. So it looks like if Arvin can get up this Trick Room, it may have a chance here.
And we'll also have to have, a way to be able to pick up the KO on Porygon 2 on Gavin's side.
No protect from Arvin's Gigalith. Flash Cannon into Porygon 2. Ice Beam into the Porygon 2. Double targeting that. That's going to give Gigalith 2 attacks here. Oh, the freeze! Again, Porygon 2 is frozen solid. Gigalith goes for the Earthquake. Is going to connect to the Porygon 2, and both the Porygon 2s and the Magnezone. Picks up the KO on its own Porygon 2 and just deals a little bit of damage to Arvin.
unfortunate right there for Arvin. He had the win conditions there, but unfortunately for him, he kind of let it slip away. He let Gavin claw back a bit too much. That Magnezone and that Porygon 2 doubling up into Arvin's own Porygon 2 did too much work.
Yeah, just too much work there. And Gigalith at 10 hit points, not going to be able to survive anything coming out from this Porygon 2. Ice Beam from Porygon 2 onto Gigalith, picks up the KO, and Gavin takes game 1.
Barely. Arvin had the pieces that he needs. The big play right there for Arvin was definitely when that Continental Crush came down and crushed that Drampa into oblivion and, took away the Cloud9 ability, which Gavin really relied on to pick up the KO on that Gigalith.
Yeah, I mean, getting that Drampa off the field, really huge to keep that Gigalith around for the duration of the match, but unfortunately just not enough. I mean, Gigalith is very powerful, very bulky, but in that turn, it was just a little bit too powerful. Knocked out its own Porygon 2 partner as well.
Yeah, and hopefully Arvin realized that Gavin is carrying the choice specs right there. There was really no point in him sacrificing that Tapu Koko so easily in that turn, which he switched out to Gigalith. That turn, just go for an Earthquake, have Magnezone get knocked out, and then, kind of set up a situation where it's Porygon 2 and your Gigalith versus just Gavin's Porygon 2.
All right, well, here we are heading into Game 2. Again, if Arvin takes these next 2 matches, he will advance to the finals, potentially becoming the regional champion. Gavin, however, only needs 1 more game, and he will be joining his old rival, Enosh Shahar, in the finals of this regional championships. Gavin has made his selection, and we're just waiting on Arvin, who is taking the full time to think through which team he wants to bring.
Yeah, and Arvin did have the pieces, maybe change up the leads a little bit. Tapu Koko and Kartana are very fast for a team that, we all know that Gavin's going to try to set up Trick Room, right? It came down to a situation where Hariyama had to fake out 1 Pokemon on Arvin's side, chose to go for the Tapu Koko right there just to prevent a taunt from happening. So, Arvin has to figure out a way to change up these leads to be able to set himself up in position to either stop Trick Room, reverse Trick Room, or pick up a KO on turn 1.
All right, well, this is turn 1. Gavin sticking with what he knows best, the Hariyama and Porygon 2 leads. Arvin thinks there's nothing wrong with the first game, wants to play it again. Kartana and Tapu Koko the leads here again. So, just like before, this will basically allow Porygon 2 to get a free Trick Room if it wants to. With that Hariyama able to make sure that one of these Pokemon, Kartana or Tapu Koko, will be unable to attack.
You are definitely forced to go for a fake out here. You can't get try to be sneaky and maybe they're going to protect. We saw in the previous game, Arvin did not protect at all. He just took whatever damage that Hariyama was going to fake out into without any repercussions at all, right? Trick Room can come up, but at the same time, getting rid of this Hariyama is going to be huge to be able to set up Arvin to, kind of get around this offensive juggernaut on Gavin's side.
All right, well, no more switches from Arvin. Again, Tapu Koko will flinch. Kartana goes for the Leaf Blade again, so we're just replaying Game 1. No critical hit this time, so Hariyama is much healthier. Porygon 2 is setting up the Trick Room as the Flame Orb will activate on Hariyama to give it that Guts boost.
Yeah, this is going to be another situation. This is playing out exactly like Game 1 still. Is Porygon 2 going to split its attacks? I think Tapu Koko may be able to survive an Ice Beam from this Porygon 2. Hariyama can go for an attack onto the... Feint instead.
Hariyama just going for the Feint onto Kartana could both breaks through a Protect and, in this case, will break through the Focus Sash. Ice Beam coming out from Porygon 2, that without that Assault Vest, more than enough to pick up the KO onto Kartana. So with that Feint, able to pick up the KO. Dazzling Gleam coming out from Tapu Koko onto both Porygon 2 and Hariyama is enough to pick up the KO as well. So it is still very similar.
Exactly like Game 1.
I think we're one turn faster, though, in Trick Room. So there's 1 extra turn of Trick Room this time around.
And there's also 1 extra turn of Electric Terrain to come about, right?
Correct.
So exactly the same play happened. Hariyama there went for a feint just in case that Kartana decided to try to get around it by protecting, but unfortunately Kartana still fainted.
Yeah, Kartana is, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Kartana, but all those paper-thin defenses are unfortunate for taking those special attacks.
Yeah, and here you really want to pick up the KO on this Magnezone right now. Drampa's going to probably try to switch in. So I think in this case, if you're Arvin, you just go for the Earthquake, try to pick up the KO on this Magnezone right away. Maybe get a little bit of chip damage onto that Drampa. So you have 2 options. Either you go for the Continental Crush to hit the jump if it switches in, or you just go for the Earthquake on a Magnet Zone. Obviously, going for the Earthquake is a better option because you'll knock out the Magnet Zone and not have to take damage from a potential Flash Cannon.
Well, Gigalith is instead just going to protect this turn.
Gavin looks happy.
Gavin enjoyed that play very much. Flash Cannon from Magnet Zone into the Tapu Koko. So Gavin, reading Arven like a book there, picks up the KO onto Tapu Koko for free. And Porygon 2 is going to use Trick Room again to reset the Trick Room. So Gavin's Magnet Zone will now be outspeeding that Gigalith.
Yeah, and Drampa can easily come in right now, and Arven can't really do anything about that. That was such a beautiful play right there from Gavin. The read right there. Porygon 2 does come in, can try to set up a Trick Room too, but you had to risk a double protect right here.
Yeah, Gigalith absolutely needs to get a double protect here, or else it's just going to faint to that Flash Cannon.
But then the mind games stand by, where it's like, well, is he going to go for another Trick Room? Is Drampa going to come in? So a lot of things are happening in Arven's mind this turn, as we do see Porygon 2 switch out.
Yeah, so we are clearing up the sand with Drampa. Cloud9 Drampa getting rid of the effects of the sand, aka Gigalith's special defense. Misses the double protect. Magnet Zone's Flash Cannon onto Gigalith. Is it going to be enough to pick up the KO? More than is. Gigalith goes down. Porygon 2, the only Pokemon left on Arven's side. And wow, he does get up the Trick Room, but Gigalith's out.
One turn too late. Now it's Porygon versus the world.
Yeah, and Gavin just making some incredible plays there, correctly predicting when Arven was going to protect and on which Pokemon. And, that's why Gavin's a national champion. That's why he's one of the favorites to win this tournament. And that's why Gavin Michaels will be advancing to the finals to face off against his rival, Enosh Shahar.
Yeah, and, unfortunate for Arven right there, looking back at it, if he did go for that Earthquake in that turn where he protected it with his Gigalith, that would have changed the entire outcome of this game and maybe even the entire match.
Yeah, it looks like Arven's going to play it out. Use that Ice Beam onto Drampa after it takes a Draco Meteor. The Flash Cannon coming out from Magnet Zone, not quite enough to pick up the KO onto Porygon 2. But just one more attack coming out from that Drampa, and that will wrap it up.
Yeah, and unfortunate to see Arven go out like this. It can go for a recover, but at the same time, a hit from Drampa and Magnet Zone just not going to be enough, Yeah,
Draco Meteor. Gavin finishing it off in style with Drampa. Draco Meteor onto Porygon 2. 2-0. Gavin advances to the finals.
What a set from Gavin. Well played by Arven too. He had a lot of chances for him to try to take the lead, but unfortunately, Gavin just made better reads.
Yeah, he absolutely did during that game. You can see the experience level that's in Gavin's hands, just by virtue of having played this game for so long at such a high level. Those are the kind of reads that you can only really make from experience. Arven will get there, but he just wasn't there this tournament.
Absolutely.